Hey everyone, I'm Mike Lowe, and this is an exclusive look at PGA Tour 2K23. We're going to be going over all that is new and all that's good, and even perhaps some criticisms here of the newest edition of the PGA Tour Golf Gaming Series. We're going to be taking a look at the new licensed courses, the added playable characters, including female characters this time around, the updates to include, say, Top Golf and some of the new casual modes, the online course designer updates to My Career, and the My Player customization, which has quite a bit new to it as well. We'll also talk about societies a little bit, and there's going to be plenty of other videos that'll take some deeper dives into some of those particular sections. So without further ado, let's take a closer look here at PGA Tour 2K23. Let's start by going through My Player, because this is where a lot of people are going to probably want to start their game, get your person set up here and ready to start getting out onto the links. So My Player will have a lot of that's familiar, but rest assured there is a lot that's new here. Before we get into some of these kind of top level categories, let's just dive into the golfers section. And we're going to start with some of the familiar. We'll come back to skills and archetype in just a second. But here, just like you would in the previous edition of this game, you'd enter in your basic information. Male versus female gender will give you some different options in appearance. But after you put that in, you can go over to appearance, and you can either load in one of these default avatars if you want, or you can, of course, go through and customize your My Player however you would want. And the detail this year has definitely been expanded here as we look at kind of the face options, the eye options, hairstyle, and so on. There is a lot here, and it's much more comprehensive than PGA Tour 2K21, which is the previous edition of this game. You can even include makeup here, so there's eyeshadow and eyeliner, lipstick, and so on. As we get over to player height, you can adjust this. I have not seen a place to actually adjust your player weight or even like their age or anything. So whether you're, a 16-year-old person playing this game, or you're a 96-year-old person playing this game, you're going to kind of have a very similar look, similar build in the My Player creation. So there's even further details when you go into edit face that you can use to really customize the way your person looks. So there's some sub-menus here, including eyes, nose, ears, mouth, cheeks, and jaw. So there's a lot here. And again, all of these have little sliders and stuff that you can adjust to make your My Player look the way you want. So that part has been, again, very familiar, but it's going to be also a lot of new and expanded options that make this area of player creation a lot deeper. Speaking of making it a lot deeper, we now have archetype and skills, and these kind of go together. Archetypes, it's very similar to something you'd see in like NBA 2K or even like NHL by EA Sports, but it's simplified, and I think that's a good thing, because sometimes that can get a little bit overwhelming, especially to players who are new to this series. Here you just start off with 5 archetypes, and you can read these. I won't read these to you, but basically there's like you're an expert at putting, you're an expert off the tee, you're a powerhouse driver, rhythm, so kind of just being consistent with your swing, a shot sculptor, so you're able to really manipulate ball spin and flight path and things like that. And then there's woodsman, somebody who specializes in getting themselves out of trouble with recovery shots. Each of these different archetypes have strengths and weaknesses. So as I scroll through and you read the little graphic in the top left, you can see that the woodsman's really good at getting out of trouble, but their weakness is putting. The sculptor is really good at shot shaping, I should say, but their weakness is distance control. Rhythm, pro is swing difficulty, weakness, carry distance, and so on, right? The powerhouse is going to have a little bit more trouble swinging. The putting expert's going to have trouble with recovery shots. So kind of the opposite of the woodsman there. So you're going to have to really kind of pick and choose. But the good news is you can adjust this. I can go in and select whatever one I want, and it'll just update your profile. So based on different tournaments or even different rounds within a tournament, I would think you can go in and adjust this to kind of find which one suits you, or just rotate through them as you start to progress through the game. You can see on the right that they all have their different attributes and kind of pros and cons that go along with and match up to the strengths and weaknesses that we just saw. If we look at skills, this is taking it a little bit deeper. So again, this is sort of like badging in NBA 2K or other games that use badges. We see here that it goes through all of the different types of clubs here on the left, right? Driver, hybrid, iron, and so on. And then as you scroll left to right, these are different badges that are going to unlock. And you start over here in column 1, and you will earn points. You can see I have 2 remaining points, and you'll spend these to unlock these badges here, like at level 1. And then what's happening here is you can see on the right side, right, for Trailblazer in the red box there, it's saying this is what the Trailblazer badge is. It's on a normal shot, you're going to receive a swing path boost off the tee. So it's going to kind of help you maybe keep your swing straight a little bit longer, a little bit more forgiving, and so on. And each of these has a particular like standard benefit to that badge, right? Aerodynamics, tee and crushits, momentum, and so on. And then what happens in each of these as well is there's different elements that will activate or deactivate this particular badge. So let's just go to let's go to putter, right? And the very first one here is called Zen Garden. And you're going to receive a putt path boost on the green. So it's going to probably make your putt path either easier to read or more forgiving or whatever. And that's great, but it has to be activated. And you can see there's a level 1, a level 2, and a level 3. To be clear, because it's a little confusing the first time you look at it, level 3 is the best option, but you have to work your way up to it. And so not only can you build out your badges left to right, you can kind of build them like downwards too, right? Like you can build depth from level 1 to 2 to 3. So what happens at level 1, which would be the first activation here with Zen Garden? Well, it would activate after you missed 2 putts in a row from within 5 feet. It deactivates after sinking just 1 putt from within 5 feet. How is that different from level 3? Well, if you miss 2 putts from within 5 feet, it activates, so that's the same. But it takes longer to deactivate at level 3, and that's a good thing, right? You want to be able to keep that extra boost as long as you can. And at level 3, it will sink 2 putts in a row from within 5 feet. That's when it will deactivate, right? So you can see level 2 kind of splits the difference on all of those, but that's the general gist between how these badges work and how the leveling works along with these badges. So there's a lot you can do here, and of course you'll be able to build your character as you go through My Career. I'm assuming you'll also be able to build it as you say play through like societies and things like this. And my guess, because I haven't gotten deep into the society part creation yet, is that maybe societies can even put limits on these where, well, we can't have you above like a 3rd badge or whatever it is. I'm not sure if that's there. If not, that would be a really cool feature potentially in the future for societies who wanted to opt for something like that. They could. So that's the player creation part. We back out here. We have some other menus that we can see. We have caddies now. Now, I don't believe these have any sort of impact, at least right now, on your gameplay. This looks to be just sort of a graphical enhancement or addition to when you're playing in the actual game, when you're actually on the course. You will see, little cut scenes of your caddy handing you a club or talking to you and that kind of thing, giving you a high five. But there are different caddies here, male and female, that you can go through and choose. And again, just kind of adds a little bit more, just character and so on to the actual career mode. So pretty cool there. Pro Shop and Locker are similar, but again, different. You're going to see a lot of new here. First off, we have a kind of a featured section. We have a weekly kind of featured section, and then there's daily features. So very, very similar. If you played like the F1 game, a lot of games kind of have setups like this now, where like you get daily login bonuses, or there's certain items only available at certain times. But this is a pretty similar thing here. However, you can still go in and you can still just kind of filter through equipment. You can filter through apparel, right? Kind of the same ways that you would have in last year's game. And so same thing here. You can go in and just look at drivers or woods or hybrids and so on. You can even, again, go in and use different filters, which are really, really easy to navigate. So let's just say you wanted to look at, ping irons. There aren't any. There's going to be probably ping drivers somewhere. Oh, there's not. So let's see. Let's take off ping and we'll get something that's maybe bound to show up here. So here are your tailor-made irons. And again, these will be expanded. I think one of the pros I've really liked so far about things like the Pro Shop here at launch is that there's a lot of stuff here already to choose from, but it's also not an overwhelming amount, right? There are plenty of options for you to kind of dive into, but again, it's like there's only 11 drivers here. It's not like you have 306 to dig through or something like that. It's much more manageable. So you're going to see clubs. You're also going to see golf balls this time, and these will take on different characteristics. You don't really see it here on this screen. I believe this is just more like kind of the visual look of your ball. However, rest assured, there are ball like mechanics or physics or attributes, whatever you want to call it, in this game where you can purchase different balls, and they have different elements that will improve your game. So we'll see those in a little bit, but again, visually you can get range balls, you can actually get dirt balls, which I think is kind of fun for those of us who, including myself, who have bought many used golf balls over the years to save a few bucks. You got that option too, which is pretty cool. So again, a nice amount here to start with, but nothing overwhelming, and the filters work really well. Apparel, again, it's similar. It's going to feel very similar to PGA Tour 2K21, but that's not a bad thing. We have a pretty good assortment here at the start, but nothing overwhelming. Of course, you can purchase these different items. So here's long sleeve, there's outerwear, undershirts, and so on. And same thing here, you can filter by brands. There's a lot of new brands this year. So as I just scroll through here, you can see some ones that are new for PGA Tour 2K23. So plenty of options there to get you started, while it also not being a completely overwhelming experience. So again, here are the different pant options at the start, shorts, and you'll unlock a lot of these things as you play through tournaments, just like you did in PGA Tour 2K21, including the kilt that I know so many of you will want to unlock. Footwear, same thing, right? You got your shoes here. You can filter by brands. Not a ton of shoes out the gate, but again, these will be expanded upon. Socks for people who want to work in that. And then, of course, there's some accessories. There's gloves and hats and so on. Here we have eyewear, belts, watches. So still quite a bit from the start, and it looks to be something that they're going to be adding to daily when we look back at those featured items that were appearing kind of at the start of this section when we started diving in here into the pro shop. So definitely a lot to get you started. And again, you can always preview these and see how they look on your character. So yeah, pretty cool there. Again, I think a really nice blend of like, is this shockingly brand new stuff? No, but it doesn't need to be. They cleaned it up a little bit, and I think it presents really well. It's not overwhelming. It's familiar enough that it'll make sense, and it'll get you out on the links quicker. Your locker section is really just kind of where you store all of your things, all of your stuff, right? So here's what's in your golf bag, right? Your different clubs. I purchased some wedges and a driver so far. The ball I selected. So I talked earlier about how balls now have attributes assigned to them, right? This is a ball with I guess low bounce, I think is how they would do it. Like that's kind of one that's almost like backwards, like you want less bounce. And so 65 is kind of a high bounce there. Roll, same thing. You probably want a lot of roll. So like when you drive a ball or something, and it's going to carry more once it hits the ground. And so you can select these different balls, and you'll have some options when you start the game, especially for those of you who pre-order. You'll get quite a few different things that come with your pre-order there that'll be useful. You can also, again, like last edition of this game, you can filter through, and if you just want to kind of see things a little bit more of like a textual level, you can, and it'll show you the different ratings on your clubs and so on. So you can toggle between that. Let's see, if I hit R2, and we're on PS5 here, but if I go over to collection, this is now beyond just what's in my golf bag. This is like all things that are in my possession, right? So I have 3 drivers here, one that I purchased, 2 that I believe just came with an advanced, or the pre-order or whatever, wherever these came from, I'm not even sure. There's different shafts that I can apply to my driver. There's going to be different grips. And what's cool with the grips and shafts this year, because I don't think this was the case in 2K21, but these will actually impact the club, thus impacting your performance on the course. And you don't always see it here. But you can go through and actually see this a little bit later on, which we will. You'll see, I think when we get over to that fitting section, you'll see it kind of showing up. So same thing here. I can filter and look at all my woods that are in my collection. Again, not in my golf bag, just all items related to woods, all items related to hybrid, and so on, right? So you can see wedges. Here's the wedges I bought. Got a few different things there. Looks like I unlocked another wedge. So different things here that you get. Again, these are pre-order golf balls here, the Tiger Woods Bridgestone ball, 2K default. Now we can go over to fittings, and this is where I was saying that the grips and the shafts and even the head of the club will start to take on attributes to improve your game, hopefully. So all I have right now, and I'm not even sure if I unlocked this in a pre-order or what, but I have a grip that I can apply to my wedge clubs, right? And so we can see here in the middle, it's saying +6, and I think that's just kind of like the overall like improvement of your club. If you kind of just look, or I guess that's power. Sorry, that's if you look down there, the lightning bolts relating to power. So this is going to give me +6 to power, +4 to swing path, +5 to lie range. But also there is a little bit of give you have to do here too, which is a -1 to timing. So it's not all pro. It's mostly beneficial, but there are some sacrifices you may have to make in your selections of, say, grips and shafts and things like that. If you look on the right-hand side, I can toggle through and you can see how it's going to affect the yardage on my wedges. So +4, +5, and then +5 to the gap wedge. You can see, again, the attributes of not just that it's +6 power, but it'll show you exactly what that club now is at. So it goes up from a 60 to a 66, timing's down from an 81 to an 80, and so on. So makes it pretty darn clear. I can click on X and I can either fit this, I can exchange it, or I can deconstruct it. Now to fit it, I think it just is pretty straightforward. You can apply it here. You can spend your 90 currency and you can then go on and fit this on. This is going through a little tutorial here. I'm just going to click through. So again, you can easily get this done, but I'm going to back out and show you a couple of the other options you can do. And we're going to actually go down to deconstruct because this is a little bit easier to understand. So you can actually like take this off of your club. It will cost you 30 currency, but that's an option if you need to do it. So it's not very expensive, especially later in the game. Now, exchange is a little bit more intuitive here. You have a few options when you click on exchange. You can either exchange it, as you'd expect, or you can upgrade it. And you can see it says here with an exchange, it's receive a custom fitting of the same rarity, but it's random. So you don't actually know what you're getting. And this will explain it when you like work through the tutorials when you first load into the game and things like that. But it's random, and it says there that all exchanges are final. Same thing here. Upgrading is also final, and it's also random. Now, an upgrade seems worth the risk to me because although it's random, you're getting an upgrade. And I don't really think there's any downfall, I guess, or just there's any disadvantage to upgrading a grip or anything else. So maybe this is an option that you'd want to explore, maybe roll the dice. It seems like it might be worth it. But again, all of those different elements then can help you build the My Player that you want. So now that you have your My Player created, the next place that I would recommend going is going over to this Casual tab and going into Training. Now, if you're brand new to the game, definitely work through Training. There's going to be a tutorial when you start the game. Take that seriously, go through it, but it's a pretty quick tutorial, which I think is good. But also, it doesn't hurt to go back in here and jump into some of the different practice modes, because you can use not just the driving range, but you can work on chipping, you can work on putting, and it will load you into these different interfaces and let you mess around and just kind of get used to not just the game, but even maybe some different settings you're using and things like that. Perhaps the area here that's most important, especially for those who are an experienced player in this game and they kind of know the mechanics of how the game works. But as you even get better, if you're new to the game, you're going to want to eventually go into swing calibration. I say it's not maybe ideal for a person who just got the game yet, because you're still learning how to take swings and you're kind of calibrating maybe a bad swing at this point. But once you get used to it, this is something when you're going to want to go in and you're just going to take your 10 shots, and it's just going to help you calibrate your swing speed. It's not calibrating like left to right. It's not going to like fix a slice that maybe you keep hitting or something like that. It's just calibrating your swing speed in your backswing and in your downswing, right? So once you go through these, you'll go through it 10 times and it'll say, hey, it's been calibrated. And this is something I do a couple times throughout the year, especially if I'm, playing in a tournament and I start to feel like, oh man, what is going on? My swing's just really, really off. You'll just kind of feel, you'll get a feel for it. It's more than just like a lag thing. It's nothing like that. It's just like you can really feel your player not performing up to maybe what you're used to seeing. And I'll just come into here and I'll recalibrate the swing. And again, you'll do this more often if you're a new player, as you start to learn the swing mechanics of the game, or if you're, again, a return player who's just getting used to the 2K23 version. But definitely use the swing mechanic here. Use the tutorial, or I should say the calibration for your swing. It's going to be really, really helpful and something you'll want to do for sure. So now you have your My Player created, you've gone through some training, and you've calibrated your swing. Now let's talk about the different game modes that are available. There is My Career available, and we're going to actually come back to this one in a little bit, but rest assured there is certainly a career mode here. It has a lot of enhancements that we're going to get to. There's also competitive, which is going to be where you find your online societies. If this is new to you, again, I'm not going to go into super long detail, but it's going to be a similar setup to what we've seen in the past, where you can join in a private group or even a public society where you can play online against others in tournaments that are, say, weekly or bi-weekly, or however they set it up in that particular society. A ton of fun, a really, really great place to not only get better at the game, but also to improve your My Player. And it's just a really, really, really cool experience. One of the best, if not the best, online environments, in my opinion, for sort of a quote-unquote career mode that's in the online world. It's really, really well done and really easy to navigate around and understand. As far as casual modes, we saw the training, but you of course have local and online matches. I think those are pretty self-explanatory. One of the modes that's new this year is Top Golf. So if you're into golf, or if you're new in the golf, perhaps you've been to a Top Golf. And same thing here, you can play locally, you can play online. And it's kind of basic right now. And what I mean by that is there's one location that's in Las Vegas. There's really not a ton you can adjust here. You can adjust the wind. And I guess if you have multiple players, you can adjust the turn order. But as of now, at least, like, you don't get to select the type of game you play. It's just kind of like the standard. If you've been to Top Golf, like the first game they start you off with usually, which is just like, hey, hit it into the little, buckets out there, or out to the targets, and then you earn points. And so, again, very, very similar. I first off, it looks great. It's really, really cool. To me, this is a really cool mode where you can go in and, sort of play with family who are maybe just wanting to mess around with this game and that kind of thing. And that's exactly what Top Golf is like, right? I mean, you can just kind of go in, and you don't have to be a golf pro or somebody who's been playing golf for 10 years to enjoy Top Golf. You can just go out there and hack, have a beer, eat some bad bar food that's overpriced, and just have a decent time, right? So one thing I can say is, be really careful if you do come into this mode. You're a much better golfer, at least I am, in this game than you are in real life, a lot of you, right? So like, you want to be careful about just like pulling out your driver and you're going to hit it to this fence. You're going to be like the videos of Mike Trout at Top Golf, hitting it over the net, basically. So you just want to be careful with that. But again, it's a really, really casual mode. I mean, that's the whole idea behind it. It's something, I guess you do get some points out there. So it's just something you're going to want to just keep in mind, that it's a really, really cool addition. But also, I think keep your expectations within reason. It's new. I think eventually, at least I'm guessing that we're going to see some expansion to this, where maybe we'll see either new locations, or maybe you can create your own Top Golf. But I would at least expect to see some different games being added in that you can play. And maybe if you jump into multiplayer or something, there are some options. I haven't tried that because the game is not technically out yet, so there's not anybody playing online just yet. But still, really, really cool addition. It looks great, and it's something I think we'll see more of in the future with PGA Tour 2K23. The playable pros available have been expanded tremendously as well, and not only include cover athlete Tiger Woods, but even NBA great Steph Curry and Michael Jordan as it crosses over into the NBA. And as I scroll through these different players, you can see that they even have ratings off to the side there that are available to give each character their own sort of unique play style and competitiveness. And so while you cannot use these players as a My Career selected player, they will appear in your My Career as your opponents and even as your rivals. Okay, so we've selected our playable pro. We're going to go with Tiger Woods. Let's take a look at some of the course offerings here that we have here at game launch. First, we can go to 2K Official, and I'll just show you some of these. We'll just kind of flip through the different pages. So again, these are the 2K official courses. I believe these are fictional courses, but they're like officially made by the 2K team. So we're onto the third page here, fourth page. Okay, no, these are some real ones in here for sure. So I don't know if they're all real, but certainly a lot of them now are turning up to be real here. So that's about just a little more than 5 pages. Of course, you can still go in here and click on the filters, which work really, really well. This looks really similar to 2K21. But if we click into real courses here, yeah, these might be exactly the same then as the 2K official. So they're just kind of coming up as real courses in the filter as well. So yeah, okay, not all of them, right? So we were right the first time that some of the 2K official courses are real. Some of the 2K official courses are not real, but you can see here there's about 2.5 pages or so of real courses made by 2K. And then again, if you wanted to filter by different things later on, like most popular, or just look for 9-hole courses, that kind of thing. So filters are great. These are really, really useful. Let's just play, let's see, what do they have loaded? Sherwood Shores is fine. I think that's kind of the one they just start you off on typically anyway. And then we can jump in and just kind of look around at some of the gameplay, and we'll even adjust some of the settings here as we play to kind of check out some of the different swing mechanics.
Hi there, and welcome to the game. That is PGA Tour 2K23. This will be a good time. And today's first hole is a par 5. Now let's strike this drive into the fairway and get on our way.
So everything we're going to see here is pretty much default out of the box. Now I went through the tutorial and, you know, I selected the things that I wanted to select. So it might look a little bit different than yours out of the box. Like I like the old, I guess it's old now based on this year's game, but just kind of the right stick swinging mechanism. I like that. I selected Pro, I think, or the hardest one I think is now Pro. At least when you go through the tutorials, and so I've selected that. So I share all that just to say everything you're seeing here is default, although yours might look different if you pick different items from the tutorial, right? The only thing I've adjusted here is just turned off the music. But this is kind of everything as you'd see it out of the box. I will be switching to like the 3-click mechanic here, probably like even on the second hole, just to kind of give you a look here as we play Sherman Woods, I think the course is called. And yeah, we'll just kind of see how it goes, how it feels. 2K kind of touted a couple things here I'll tell you about.
Too far to the right on the approach, I think.
So here we're seeing perhaps the part of the overhaul to surface and flight physics.
All right, on the green and under regulation, you got a putt for eagle, and that's fantastic.
And that's something that 2K talked about.
For eagle.
So again, they talked about overhaul to surface and flight physics. And I don't know the exact details of that, but that's something that they've touted even in the press materials that they sent me. And so it's just something we'll have to kind of see. I mean, the game feels really, really similar to 2K21, but that's not bad. It definitely also feels different. I know that's like the lamest statement ever, but it's familiar enough that like it only took me like the first hole I played, for instance, I shot like a 9 on like this par 5. It was just bad, but I ended up finishing the round +2, right? So it wasn't actually a terrible round. I was very, very quickly able to adapt, and I wasn't even like lining up half my putts. I was just kind of going through it. So like we're gonna do here, we're just gonna kind of hit this, but you know, the idea is that it's familiar enough that you're not going to have to like reinvent your golf wheel when you start, but there is also enough that it feels like a new game for sure. Yeah, that wasn't too bad.
This one's a 4-foot putt. Already under par. It's just one hole into this one.
I've skipped ahead a few holes. You'll notice my score is terrible, and that's because I have switched now to the 3-click option. Have not used this. I just practiced it on the last few holes. I'm starting to get the hang of it, but the good news to me at least is that it's not as simple as you may have been thinking about a 3-click option. Like this isn't like PGA Tour 92 or something like this where you just hit the button 3 times and you hit it dead straight every time. You're going to hold down X to start, and then it's going to fill up kind of that bigger inner circle. It almost looks like a planet or something. And then after that, it's going to give you 2 meters to hit, which are pretty much like at 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock on that dial over there. And you got to hit that, and it comes up pretty quick. And where I was having trouble in the beginning is I could fill up the power just fine, but then kind of hitting those little markers was coming up quicker than I was thinking. So I'll try to show you here what I'm talking about. We'll just try to put something out here in the fairway. So I'm going to hold this down, release, hit, and it's a usable golf shot. But you can see there, see how it almost looks like mine's at 7 o'clock. You want it to be kind of 6 o'clock, right? The way that you're lining it up, or I guess mine's more like 6:58 on the clock there.
Well, I'm sure that's not what you intended.
But the idea is you want it to be 6 o'clock on your clock, right? You want the one hand facing up and the other hand facing straight down. So we'll try to do our best here. We're in some light rough. Let's take an extra club. Not too bad. Again, usable golf shot. And all of the same customization options are there. Like I like to turn off a lot of those visuals. Like I don't like to have like a teal ball trailer and things like that. It's just a little bit much for me. And I know some folks have talked about, you know, like, oh, the graphics hasn't been upgraded. I mean, yeah, it has, but I mean, I see where people are kind of saying like it doesn't look, you know, all that different perhaps, but and putting, by the way, works the same way. But yeah, I don't know. It's to each their own, I guess. I'm not looking for like visual perfection or anything. Oops. Okay, so here's only 2-click on a putt. I forgot about that.
Really good.
So I didn't hit it hard enough, hit it way to the right. Let's try to fix that here. Ooh, that was way too hard. So again, you can just see the sensitivity. It just takes some getting used to. We'll get some practice here chipping.
Got to get back onto the green, I guess.
So let's see what chipping does here. Yeah, so chipping is just like a regular shot.
About 6 feet to go here.
Let's try putting again. Hey!
Well done.
Yes, indeed, well done. Check out those scores. Notice Tiger Woods is using my caddy there.
4 ahead of you.
Should at least like change his name or something on the back, right? Let's do one more hole like this. Oof, that's gonna be bad. Actually, not too bad. It's quite the friendly roll there.
And second shot here on the 5th.
I do the same thing every time. But they're usable golf shots. We'll take it. Okay, maybe it's too... Could even be argued it's a little too forgiving. I mean, these are still pretty good shots. Oh, that's bad.
Right by the hole.
So yeah, I got to work on the power thing with this, but
Uh-oh.
I won't be using the 3-click myself. I'm not a fan of it. I like the
Here's your 4th shot.
I like the swing stick.
Nice chip. Fantastic. Okay, just a few more inches to go. Okay, we tap that in. We're moving to the next.
A little rough there.
Good luck. Par 5 ahead of us here.
Let's go in and change the setting again here. Oops. So go to controls, and we're going to put this back onto, oops, to swing stick. A little bit more comfortable with that. I prefer to play with all the visuals off, so like you won't even see this meter when I officially set my settings. I just got really used to that. It just kind of goes more with the feel, like not worried about watching a meter or anything like that. It just seems to help. One of the areas I have noticed the graphics, and some of you might not care too much about this, but I've noticed like when I was looking through like the different shirts and stuff, like just like some of the polo shirts, like the material looks so realistic. It was really wild. So there's little parts there. Like I get where people are saying like it's not some revolutionary improvement. Should we hit the driver off the deck? It's not some revolutionary improvement to graphics, but there are going to be areas where you're like, oh wow, like that looks pretty impressive. Still got all the different camera angles like here, right? So as I flip through the different angles, so there's your ball roll. And again, some of that's the physics, some of that is just the particular ball that I've selected.
Okay, I'll accept that. Okay, here's our third shot.
Way too hard. Oh, maybe not. Pretty forgiving when you're playing as Tiger Woods.
All right, here we go. This one's for birdie. That shows some resilience.
So yeah, there's some, again, that's kind of the big gameplay improvement is the 3-click swinging, and it's the overhaul to surface and flight physics is what 2K is saying. So you may have seen some of that here, just looking at a few holes. A lot of the holes I played pretty terribly when we switched over to the 3-click, but hopefully this at least gave you a really quick look at just kind of how gameplay is looking. So let's talk about societies really quick, because this is a mode that I really like, and I really hope others are interested in checking out if they haven't before. Now, I've already gone in and created our Sim Sports Gaming Society that we had active with 2K21. Interested in joining, by the way, just reach out. It's a private group, but you can certainly join us, as it says up there, either through our Discord at simsportsgaming.com, or just, I think you can just join it right from the game here, or just reach out to me on Twitter at MikeLowe47. But I can't create a new one to show you exactly, but I can kind of show you the different settings that are here, right? So you have all of the usual difficulty settings. I do think there's some new ones here. I don't remember exactly which ones were in last year, because once I set this, we kind of left it be. But I can just kind of scroll through and show you. And again, you can adjust these however you might want. We are still kind of tweaking ours. I don't know if this is exactly what they'll look like. Earlier, I misspoke and said that difficulty was maxed out at Pro, but that was just in the tutorial. There are 2 higher levels. You have Mastery and Legend, right? So just like before, but I believe the default online version is what it says in the tutorial is set to Pro. And so that's what we're going to use at least to start. Society settings, this is the screen you'll actually see when you first jump in to start your online society. And you can go in and adjust like your logo and that kind of thing, which I haven't even done. But you can go in and adjust your emblem and the color and so on. This is a little bit new here. So not society itself, not the society style itself, I should say. But there is a new one here called Design, and I'm not exactly sure what that is. It doesn't really give you any sort of information. I'm assuming it has something to do with like custom course design, but I don't know for sure. But all of the other options are there: message of the day, about us, handicapped options, and so on. So again, functioning really exactly the same, it seems. You can see last 30 days of the season is something new that wasn't there before. But again, all of the different items you'd see where you can schedule events and you can end seasons after a certain number of events, or however you want to set yours up is all very, very, very similar, which is good. This is a really, really strong mode. Like I said before, it's probably one of my favorite online modes available in any sports game. So definitely check it out if you haven't, and you're more than welcome to join our society as well. Course design has received some pretty nice updates as well. 2K says this about the course designer updates. It says the industry-leading course designer also returns, offering players the opportunity to build their dream courses and share them with the global online community, featuring new tools, updated user interface, and enhanced visuals with new foliage. The mode is more accessible than ever before. So when I clicked into it, again, it looked pretty similar. I love that you can import your courses from 2K21. Thank goodness for that. More games need that feature. My goodness, more games need that feature. But as you load in here, what's really beautiful about this is like you can create a course in like 2 minutes. You can make it really, really, really simple. And then again, you can go in beyond that and make it much more complex, much more customized to how you want, right? So you got a couple pages here of different themes that you can select. Let's just go with that Swiss one because it's just beautiful. And then that's going to give you, again, your general theme. And then you can go in and you can set the terrain how you want. So if you want like a ton of water and let's just go tons of hills, right? We'll just kind of go over the top here. How about tons of trees, a little bit of plants? Sure, we'll just go like that, right? And so that you can see it updates all of that in the background. We can then adjust our layout, how many par 3s and par 5s you want, the width of the fairways. So like if you want to make it a little more challenging or, something like that. Green sizes, we can, keep like that. Green side bunkers, maybe we'll lower. So again, you can adjust all of this and you can go back and adjust more. And you're not seeing the entire course here, obviously, but you're able to see quite a bit. So we can hit continue. And then that's going to essentially create that course. So I just created a course in 30 seconds, right? It's now saved. It's saying that no one's going to see it till we publish it. And I could just back out and this is it, right? This is the course as is. And see, gosh, these graphics do look just really, really awesome. When you look at like their landscape graphics, just really, really beautiful. But you can see all 18 holes are there. And then you can go in, and this, I'm not an expert at course design. There are people out here who are just amazing. So I would say, this is just kind of giving you a basic lay of the land, but you can go in and you can edit different holes. You can adjust the crowds, out of bounds areas, surfaces. You can add in objects, remove objects, things like that. You can use a sculptor, kind of like back in the old Sim City days or in city skylines, that kind of thing. You can adjust measurements. You can adjust environmental settings such as the backdrop and the lighting and so on. There are tee box settings, rough settings, bunker settings, and so on. And then, of course, you can go in there and actually play test it with different settings to kind of see how things go. And oh my gosh, if there's one thing about this game that stands out, and when I say game, I mean like series of games, the PGA Tour, or back when it used to be called the Golf Club, it's this course designer. It's incredible. It's gorgeous. And it's just fun. I mean, it adds so much to the game because you will find really, really beautiful courses. You'll find really challenging courses. You'll find really silly courses, like people will make putt-putt courses and stuff like that. And it's just awesome. So again, the course designer has seen some upgrades. I kind of read you what 2K had to say about it. Without me, I've never actually designed a course from scratch like this. So, but it looks really intuitive. Like never even having kind of gone in and navigating around this myself, it looks really, really, really straightforward. And it's actually something I'm really interested in kind of diving into to see if we can come up with something cool here. And I'd be curious what you come up with too. So if you do have courses you want to share, definitely post in the comments there. I'd love to see what you come up with. So that leaves my career, which I want to talk a little bit about here, but really we're going to dive deeper into my career in a separate video. So we're going to go through at least some of the surface level items here, but if you want to see a deeper look into my career and really other elements of this game, check out the YouTube channel as well, because there's going to be some other exclusive videos dealing with just different parts of this game, whether that's my player, course designer, and things like that. So definitely check that out. My career, I think, has seen some really nice improvement. So again, there's going to be some familiarity, like you can pick what tour you want to start on, and you're going to be able to go through, and again, it just kind of shows you some of the rules or some of the objectives for that particular tour you're joining. And then here you can go in and you can set up just like you would before, just some of the different levels of competition you want to face, or maybe the different conditions and so on. So you can really adjust this however you see fit. and then you will jump in. And of course, it's going to load up your My Career. And when you go through this, it will do a really nice job of kind of walking you through different tutorials. So I've gone through this already. My tutorials are no longer active. But you can see right away here that it's talking a little bit about your sponsorships and things like this, and how you'll have an opportunity to pair up and get different brand recognition and sponsors and things like that. And so right away here, it's already kind of given us an opportunity to work with the golf club brand as a particular sponsor. And I think one of the cool things is it's going to say that you're able to walk through some of these different sponsors and so on, and you have sponsor relationships, right? So you can see that green bar that's underneath here, and that's showing the relationship. And so it can sour if you start playing poorly. Like you have a sponsorship with Adidas or something and you're playing poorly, that bar could get down to a point where they don't extend you, or they kind of break off that relationship. So sponsorships, I believe that's a new update to the way sponsorships works. I'm not positive, but still definitely looks cleaner, a little bit more in your face. It's easier to see. Again, you have the different standings. I noticed too that you can adjust the actual tournaments you're playing in. You can't adjust all of them, but you can go in and replace. So like if there's that pencil icon where it says Craggy Heights, or however you say that, you can go in and actually adjust this particular course. So again, you can swap that out or whatever. You can't do it for all of them, it says, for whatever reason, but there are enough here that you can kind of make your own custom tour, or at least switch it up every year so it's a little bit different and that kind of thing. You can also go in and you can select your rival to start with, right? So again, I don't believe rivals were in 2K21. I'm getting my games mixed up because I know like there's rivalries in like Formula One. And so again, they're just kind of talking about the different levels of rivalries you can have. So let's just say we pick Ricky Fowler, and you go in and it's just going to give you some different things here to do with your particular rival. So looks like we've selected him, and he is now officially our rival. And it looks like by that particular rivalry, you can unlock different things like different gear or different apparel and things like that. And so, again, it kind of walks you through it. It's pretty straightforward. You can see that Champions Invitational is locked. But to me, while it looks a little, I mean, truthfully, it doesn't look very similar to 2K21. The layout's completely different. But there's elements here that are familiar, and that's good because it worked just fine, right? There was nothing that was like terribly wrong with the 2K21 My Career. This to me is just a lot cleaner. It's like a lot of the modes I mentioned earlier where it just makes a lot of sense as you navigate through this. It just makes sense. I love just all of the little detail and the additions they've made as far as like statistical tracking and things like this. I mean, you're able just to kind of go through and compare it, how are these other players on your particular tour doing? And it's neat. It just seems a little bit more streamlined. It's a little bit more just presented in a way that's easier to get around is kind of what I've noticed. And so, of course, these screens will start to populate as you play more. You can, of course, go in and adjust the different settings that are just some of the presets. So, again, it gives you a little bit more detail on how you can customize it, CPU attendance, and so on. So, really, really cool. And again, you can get creative. You can adjust this as you go, as you get better at the game. And again, there's definitely enough here that I think it's going to make it really interesting and fun for those who are looking to get into My Career. It's a really good place to start with this game, in my opinion. And again, we're going to do a deeper dive on My Career on this channel. So definitely check that out. Well, I think we went through the whole game at this point. There's a few things that just aren't available yet, like Clubhouse Pass, as this is about a week before the game's official release, but we went through the My Player Creation Suite, we looked at Top Golf, we looked through the Playable Pros, the Course Designer, Online Societies, and of course we took a look at least just kind of the nuts and bolts of the My Career updates. And as I said, we'll be diving deeper into some of this in future videos. So I can just say, if you're into sports gaming, subscribe to this channel, because that's what I do here. We focus on sports gaming, we focus on kind of the realism aspect of sports gaming, and if that's something you're interested in, this will be a really, really fun channel for you to get active on. So I want to thank you for watching, and I would also say, if you're looking to join a society that kind of mirrors sort of that realism and just also having a lot of fun with the community, check out the Sim Sports Gaming Online Society for PGA Tour 2K23. But other than that, I super appreciate you watching all the way to the end. I appreciate you leaving the comments, liking the video, and all of that YouTube-ish stuff. Super appreciated. I'm Mike Lowe, and I'm on Twitter at MikeLowe47, and I will see you next time.